you want to prevent getting a cold this year? Maybe vitamin C is the answer.
Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Paul Zalza.
Dr. Bradley.
Okay, Smarty, go to a party. Tell us about it.
Okay, so let's start with vitamin C. What is vitamin C?
Vitamin C is ascorbic acid,
Yep.
also known as L-ascorbic acid.
Yes.
And it is a micronutrient. We can't make it in our body. We have to ingest it. And it's actually considered an antioxidant.
Yes, it's water soluble,
Um,
which means we can't store it.
yeah, and it's present in many citrus fruits, green leafy vegetables.
Yes. Yes.
And other sources of income. Anita Bryant never suffered from a loss of it.
Okay.
Do you know who she is?
I don't think I do.
You will at the end of this video. Stick around.
Stick around for
So why don't you stay for this video and I'll tell you at the end.
I will. Also commonly taken as a supplement, either on its own or with a multivitamin.
It's got to be one of the most commonly taken.
I think
bet
it
you
is.
it is. Do you take it as a supplement?
Sometimes, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not based on evidence prior to today, to be honest with you.
I take it all the time too.
Every day?
Pretty much every day as supplement.
Yeah.
And after we discussed the evidence,
Sure.
or after we looked at it, I was wondering why, but I know why I take it, I think.
And I think the argument for taking a supplement is that it's something that's water soluble. We can saturate our cells and our tissues relatively quickly. It does have a short half-life, so it does go away, so you have to eat stuff regularly.
Right.
But if you eat too much of it, what happens? The good news is there's very limited toxicity to vitamin C, so it just ends up in your urine primarily.
You pee it out pretty much. So
Yeah.
the good and the bad means you can take supplements, it's not going to harm you, but
Right.
the bad is then it's hard for you to store it.
Right.
Very, very short half-life. Okay, so what's it do with antioxidant?
Okay.
Many of us always say, oh, this is good, it's an antioxidant, it's an antioxidant. And I'm sure a bunch of our viewers have said, oh, why do you take this? I take it because it's an antioxidant.
Okay.
But what does that really mean?
Sounds like it's important.
Okay, to understand it, you have to understand what a free radical is, or a radical, okay?
Yeah. I
Not,
think you're a free radical.
not a movement in the 60s.
Okay.
I am a bit of a free radical.
Sure.
So if you go back to chemistry,
Okay.
go back to the periodic table.
Love the
you
periodic
remember
table.
Groups or
My
families.
kids, when they were growing up, we used to have a shower curtain that was the periodic
Come
table.
on.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
the,
kids, for sharing that story.
the groups or the families are in the columns,
Yes.
the rows are the periods, right? And then as you go down the groups, they all have the same number of valence electrons.
Yes.
And that's what's key, because the model that we use of the atom, there's a nucleus, and then there's these shells around it. The first shell holds 2, then 8 electrons, then 8 electrons. When those shells aren't full, those electrons in there are called valence
electrons.
And that's what makes something reactive.
Yes.
So the thinking is, that's why your noble gases, things
This
like
segment brought to you by Geeking Out.
argon, neon, those things are full,
Stable.
Stable,
The stable
right.
gases.
because their outer shells are full.
Wow, we're
Is
going
your outer
deep
shell
right
full?
now. It's-
No, I don't think so. Sometimes I keep my outer shell full, but
Okay.
you're pretty reactive.
Okay.
So then those valence electrons are what make things reactive. And in the body, the thinking is that maybe those free radicals play a role in things like atherosclerosis
Sure.
or even
Cancer,
cancer.
for sure
right?
cancer.
Because if those compounds that have those valence electrons kicking around, they can react to things. If they react to some chromosomes,
Yep.
cause some mutations, boom, there's a tumor.
The other thing that is definitely a big part of is aging. And that's like the anti-aging movement and
Yeah.
devices and creams and stuff designed to reduce your aging. A lot of them have vitamin C in them.
Okay, and the main antioxidants are, I think, B, C, E, right? Those
yeah.
ones you can't make, you got to take in.
Right.
So the antioxidant is thought to be a compound that'll neutralize these free radicals.
Yep.
Let them attach to this instead of doing damage.
Right.
Okay.
Like a garbage man, it kind of picks up the garbage.
That's it, and that's
Yeah.
all. That's why when you say the word antioxidant, everyone gets excited. Oh, this is great. It's a great antioxidant.
Right.
Now you know what you're talking about when you say antioxidant.
Okay, so vitamin C is an antioxidant. It's important in protein metabolism, collagen synthesis, carnitine synthesis, immune cells. So
Right.
it has like tons and tons of roles in our body,
And so we're trying to figure out if taking a supplement helps you in any way.
particularly for the cold.
For the
common cold, which is a virus.
Which is why it's advocated the most for.
Right.
And we do know what happens if you don't have enough vitamin C.
Okay, so vitamin C deficiency. So thankfully this is very rare.
Nowadays,
Yes,
in
In
developed
developed countries, yes.
although it still occurs in developed countries,
it does.
maybe more common in developing countries where food security is not
And
possible.
unfortunately currently becoming a much bigger issue in our society.
Yes, unfortunately, that's true. So what's the deal with vitamin D deficiency? What do you get?
You get something called the scurvy.
You got the scurvy.
Yeah, so where did that come from? A little history lesson.
Okay. That came from way back when the Royal Navy,
Yep.
I guess, it was discovered that many of those sailors were
Yes.
experiencing this debilitating disease, which caused a lot of bleeding from the gums.
When they were going on
blood.
transatlantic trips that were months
long
at a time.
trips, right?
Yes.
And then Usher Parsons in his 1820 textbook of nautical medicine described scurvy.
Right.
But they knew something was up before that, didn't they?
Right. So Sir James Lind, a captain, found that if he ran like these little almost scientific type trials where he was giving his sailors citrus fruits, particularly limes, and he found that he could correct this. So this became part of the protocol.
The American sailors didn't know what was going on, saw the British sailors with the limes, and
Yep.
that's where the terrible nickname limey came from.
Right, and it wasn't even found to be related to vitamin C in a scientific sense until like the early 1900s, like 1932.
Yeah, that's where they sort of identified.
Like
identified what
the
causes
reason or the mechanism.
There you go.
Okay, so the other things that can happen with vitamin C deficiency, so certainly bleeding from the gums cause capillary fragility. Also causes your soft tissue to break down, so you can have poor wound healing. You can actually, your teeth can fall out.
Yeah.
And you can have generalized malaise and fatigue.
And eventually, it's fatal.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the deal. However, it is one of the nutrients that's easy to get through diet, through a variety
Yes.
of foods.
Typically 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, they are by far the best source.
Yeah, fruits and vegetables for sure. And as much as we hate processed food, it's a supplement in a lot of processed
It's added
food.
to a bunch of stuff.
It's added in to a lot of stuff, so it's not going to happen. Now the question
Let's
is,
circle back.
does taking a supplement on top of all this vitamin C that you're getting in help you in any way, especially with trying to fight a cold?
Right, okay, so we went to the literature,
Let's look at the literature.
and there are literally thousands of well-run trials, poorly run trials, meta-analyses, systematic reviews, like thousands of them. The amount of data and research done on vitamin C is overwhelming. So let's try to summarize it in 1 minute or less.
Okay. Personally,
Yes.
I could not find an article that definitively said with a high level of confidence that yes, taking a vitamin C supplement will help you fight that cold or stop getting that cold,
Right.
or stop any disease process.
Right. I would agree with that. I would say that I saw a trend towards some evidence for reducing the severity of the symptoms, reducing the incidence or the time for absenteeism from work.
Yes.
But definitely not prevention per se.
Yeah, not a definitive study.
With the exception being for people who are obviously vitamin C deficient.
Yeah.
If you are elderly, because absorption of vitamin C goes down as we age, if you have poor nutritional status, this obviously helps people.
Yeah, absolutely in that sense. But for the average person who's eating a well-balanced diet, does the supplement definitively, was there a definitive article that I found said, yeah, like a vitamin, like compared to like something like vitamin D, which I think there is definitive evidence
Right.
for. Vitamin C, no. However, it's very important to note that if someone designs a study to try and show a difference and it doesn't show a difference, then the best you can say is our study did not show a difference in taking vitamin C.
Right.
You would have to design the trial to try and show that there is no difference
Right.
if you're taking vitamin C. So it's powered differently. It usually has to be bigger in order to show something like that. Do you understand that difference? It's subtle. Our study failed to show a difference. If I did a study with just 2 people, vitamin C for one person, vitamin C for the other, and didn't show a difference, I can say my study didn't show a difference, but that doesn't mean there's no difference.
So people didn't find one,
Just because we didn't find
but
one.
there might not be.
But you have to power it enough before you do the study, say I need this many people to
Right.
definitively show there's no difference.
Right.
I didn't see any great studies that showed definitively there's no difference, personally.
Right, and so the Cochrane database, we've talked about this before, they are structured to review all of the randomized placebo-controlled trials that exist for certain topics, and they do them intermittently. And when they looked at the vitamin C ones, they came to the same conclusion, saying that there was not evidence to recommend vitamin C to prevent the common cold. They do not say vitamin C does not prevent the common cold, because that is not an accurate statement. They say the evidence at this point does not supporting taking that.
Right.
It's complicated.
So where'd it come from?
Okay, yeah. So
Let's hear it.
Okay, so Sir Linus Pauling, and very interestingly, today would be his 123rd birthday.
And happy birthday to you.
Did you know that?
No.
February 28th.
How could I possibly?
I know.
So how many birthdays?
123. He passed away unfortunately in 1994.
Probably only about like 40 or something. I think
Yeah.
it's a leap year.
Yeah, so 29.
29.
28, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So super interesting guy, born and raised in Oregon, went to Oregon State, was a chemical engineer. I'm not sure if you knew that, but you're
not.
kind of a kindred spirit.
Yeah, love it.
And went on to be the only person to ever win 2 Nobel Prizes that are not shared. In 1954.
Linus.
Yeah.
Way to go.
In 1954, he won the Nobel Prize for studying essentially molecular bonds, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
In 1962, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for protesting and advocating against the testing for nuclear weapons,
Wow.
which is very different.
Wow.
Okay,
Lost that debate.
Let's
though.
dial it back a little bit, though. So he used X-ray to look at molecular structure.
Okay.
And actually, in 1952, he proposed a triple helix structure for DNA
Come on.
based on some X-rays. And history shows that his X-rays were poor quality. They weren't his; they were someone else's. He looked at some poor quality X-rays, and then Watson and Crick looked at some better X-rays, and then said, actually, it's a double helix.
Way to go,
so,
Watson and
like,
Crick.
Linus Pauling was
Canadians
like
stole the prize.
Linus Pauling was like right there for discovering the
Linus.
structure of DNA.
Linus.
So anyway, later in the early 70s, he said, listen, vitamin C is important. It wasn't based on any clinical trials that he ran. It was proposed mechanisms and
Right.
studying structure of chemical bonds in the human body. And he said he thought 2,000 milligrams was going to be the recommended dose to help prevent the common cold. He was quick to say, though, that the first 250 milligrams were the key. And probably because our body's saturated around that point.
Yeah.
For people that are deficient, this is going to be enough to get them back to a therapeutic level. So he said, hey, vitamin C is really important, especially that first little bit. And then this just became propagated.
Linus. And then he became a character on Charlie Brown.
There
That's
you go.
how it goes.
There you
But
go.
that's a good point because you see that biochemists, the molecular biologists, they see compounds and chemicals and vitamins that play crucial roles in chemical reactions that happen in the body that we need.
Yep.
And so they extrapolate and say, okay, so you should take a supplement to have an abundance of
Yes.
this. Then you have your clinical epidemiologists and your medical types that say, whoa, let's do a clinical trial,
Yep.
treat the body as a black box, give it something and see what the outcome is.
Yes.
Who cares how it happened? Let's find out what the outcome is. That's
Great.
two different schools of thought.
Yep.
But that is sort of why sometimes you get recommendations from nutritionists, biochemists, molecular biologists that are different than the clinical epidemiologists. I watched you have a great debate with someone, and one of our colleagues who's super smart, she's a PhD. She takes a ton of vitamin C supplementation.
Sure.
And you're like, show me the evidence, show me the evidence. And her evidence is coming from nutritionists, it's like sort of chemical type people
Sure.
who look at the equations and the processes
Right.
rather than the clinical epidemiology.
And it may actually be
evidence.
true that one of the suggestions are that you need to take it more times during the day or even at night to get you through the
Yeah.
day. So I'm sure as they do more research, we'll find out. And maybe
Yeah.
maybe that'll be a thing.
And the evidence doesn't support it just yet.
Yeah, we
But
just don't know.
maybe there is something
Who
there,
knows?
which is probably why you take it
Yeah.
and why I take it every day. Even though we don't have a clinical trial that proves that it's great, I still take it every
One of
day.
those things for me, the cost is low, the risk is low, the potential
Exactly.
benefit is great.
Right? Because whenever we do a clinical study, we assign a level of comfort that our results are not due to chance. It's arbitrary. We say, okay, there's a
Right.
95% chance that this isn't due to chance.
Yeah.
That means there's a 5% chance that this study is due to chance.
Yeah.
And you and I review hundreds of articles,
Wow. More
especially preparing for these
thousand.
videos.
Yes.
So after 100 articles, 5 of them I read that showed a result might have been due to
Good
chance.
chance. Agreed.
So I buy a lottery ticket every now and again. Do you buy a lottery
Yeah,
ticket?
if the pot's really big.
Right? But I wouldn't cross a 6-lane highway to buy a lottery ticket, which means the thing does no harm, like vitamin C.
Sure.
I wouldn't buy the lottery ticket if it costs $1,000.
Right.
Vitamin C is very cheap.
Right.
That's why I take a supplement,
There you
even
go.
though I can't find the evidence to support it.
Okay, so let's summarize for these poor people who hung around to the end. Does vitamin C, taking extra vitamin C as a supplement, prevent the common cold?
It might, but it hasn't been proven to do so.
Yeah, it probably doesn't prevent it, may reduce the symptoms or the severity at this point.
You know who Annette Bryant is?
Yeah.
She's the orange juice lady.
Who's the orange juice lady?
Remember the commercials for the orange juice?
No. I know you love
Glass
orange
full
juice.
of
That's why it's
sunshine.
that's why it's ringing
You don't
true
remember the-
because you drink a lot of orange juice.
You don't remember the orange juice lady?
I don't.
She brought orange juice.
Okay.
If
Now
you remember the orange juice lady,
leave some comments about vitamin C, whether you take it, whether you think it works, whatever. Share your thoughts. And if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel. Stay healthy.
and remember, you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time.